Welcome to Nature's Wisdom. I'm Pat Dewar of a great show. Today, my host of the show is Eric Hover. He is also the founder of Nature's Wisdom. And today we're talking about something that I think you'll find very interesting, informative, and somewhat, I'll call it edutaining. It's 20% vinegar as an herbicide. So with that, I know we want to talk a little bit about where did that come from? I think organic gardening, this herbicide is kind of coming full circle, but...
Well, Pat, you know, for forever, everybody's gone and used Mother Nature, natural things to accomplish things that they were trying to either grow or protect against insects or disease or whatever. When you went through that transition of everything going to chemical and commercialized, a lot of people lost kind of track of the more natural things that they could use to solve problems. And kind of where we've gotten to today is now we have readily available a ready-to-use 20% vinegar herbicide that is registered with the EPA, and now you can say everything you want to say about it killing broadleaf and grassy weeds. Up to that point, people have long known about using vinegar as an herbicide or other uses. I mean, vinegar, like bleach, thousands of uses for each. You can Google and find all kinds of things on the internet about what you can use for each. However, having proper registration in today's society with the EPA where they're at is making sure anything that you're going to kill or control actually can say what you want to say on the bottle to do so. So we have now got this EPA registered as an organic herbicide.
So Mother Nature now has a license to kill weeds.
Absolutely.
I mean, isn't that really where what it comes back to is that we basically finally, you know, approved Mother Nature's way of solving this plant problem?
Absolutely. It's a natural way to knock down broadleaf and grassy or undesirable plants with something that's not going to leave nasty stuff behind or kill you in the process.
Interesting. Now, I know that when you talk about this, is there a formation process that is unique to what you guys are doing or that's special that really will help the person that would purchase this?
Well, there's one question out there that people have always kind of had or get to is the product truly organic, or how is it made? Vinegar can be made of a couple different ways. One way is by using an acetic acid powder, which has petroleum distillates in it. That's not how our product is made. That is a non-organic way to make vinegar, and it's very dangerous when you go through to try to make it that way. It's very inexpensive to do it that way. But if you can imagine mixing an acetic acid powder with water to get to that result, not the way to go. Our Nature's Wisdom product is actually gone through the natural process of taking the fermentation, the alcohol fermentation of yeast with azobacteria to actually go from the alcohol making the sugars out of the natural sugars out of the yeast into that fermentation process to then turn it to acetic acid as the active ingredient.
Now, a lot of different, I want to say, fruits, vegetable, plants. I mean, this is something that happens in nature all the time, right? As far as separation and the use of bacteria to create a favorable result in this area, in things like this.
Yeah, there's all kinds of natural ways to make products, and that's just, vinegar's been around over 100 years. Vinegar goes way back in time. It's just the actual taking the making of this the natural way and putting the stamp on it as an EPA herbicide. Now you just kind of took it to a different level.
And so now when you think about it, the uses for it, what are some of the uses? You talk about broadleaf, but are there special plants that you would even say yes, or encourage people to take it after?
Well, the packaging that we have here is just the 1 gallon. It's a ready to use. It's easy to apply. It works as a burn down killer, where all vegetation it comes into contact with, it's going to kill that undesirable plant. What happens is the acetic acid actually destroys the cell walls within the plant, so no more photosynthesis can take place, essentially burning all the top growth. That being said, it's not systemic to where it will not enter the plant, go into the root system to kill the root. It's only going to kill the top growth. So on broadleaf weeds, knocks them out real quick. The smaller stages, the smaller the surface area to cover, the faster the kill, the less product to use. Grassier weeds that have root systems will take a couple applications to knock them back because they've got that stored energy within the root system.
Okay, so if I understood that correctly, and I'm an Aggie, which doesn't mean that I have any agricultural background, but what I heard was you spray this stuff on the weed that you want to take out. It essentially inhibits its ability to synthesize light through photosynthesis, which essentially begins the death process in the plant.
That's correct. It basically destroys the cell walls of the plant, fries them,
right,
and then they can no longer work.
Yeah. So. And is it very quick? Because I understand that there is some temperature requirements with this.
Right. It's labeled that you could use it above 65 degrees Fahrenheit. And kind of the rule of thumb is the hotter the outside temperature, the higher the acidity of the vinegar, the faster the burn. It's just all relative to how it all kind of goes together. So you'll see faster results the warmer the outside temperature is when you're applying it.
We're in Texas, okay, and I think, okay, does that mean that I apply it in July or August when we have 117 or 135 degree? At least that's what it feels like.
Right. In the course of the year, like right now being here mid-February, as the grass is coming out of the dormant season, right, is a perfect time because your grass is dormant, so meaning it's brown, it's not green, it's not thriving, but all your weeds have started. So this time of year, you won't have any ill effects on spot treating. You'll kill the weed and you won't harm the turf. As you get in further into the season and the grass is green, what will happen is when you spot treat with the vinegar is you're going to go ahead and knock out that little patch of green grass. What you touch will die, but the roots will send up new blades, new petals, new leaves, and it'll cover back up in about 2 weeks.
Oh, very cool. So when I think about this type of application, you use just a regular spray type of applicator?
Right, the product is ready to use. It's in a gallon. The easiest way to do it is get yourself an inexpensive 1 gallon pump jug sprayer. And the reason why I say inexpensive is this is a 20% acetic acid, meaning that what does vinegar do? Well, it can corrode metal, it can eat the washers, it can do everything else. So only put in the container what you're going to use. A gallon will cover between 500 and 600 square feet. So you're going to just spot treat. And kind of the rule of thumb is when you're spot treating is think of the morning dew. Right. You really don't need any more mist than the morning dew. You don't have to drench it. You just have to spot spray it. Easy, just get it a little bit wet. It just takes a very little bit to do that. When you're done, take a gardening hose, swish a little water around in your sprayer, rinse it out, put some more in there and run it through your sprayer and leave the sprayer apart. Don't put it back together because the fumes from the acetic acid can wear out your sprayers. It'll take away the compression in your pump sprayer. So that's why I say go with an inexpensive one.
Because you're going to replace it on
in the past, I could make one last a full year as long as you rinse, let air dry, and repeat. But if you leave it all together, if you pour it in there, go out and hit a few weeds, and then say I'll get back to that later, you may come back tomorrow and it might still partially work. But just the fumes and the acetic acid will corrode metal and the washers and everything in those pump sprayers. So just it works very well. Just use what you're going to use, rinse it out, air dry.
Any concerns of storage? Where should they put it? In the garage, is it okay, or does it need to be in any special?
No, the garage is a perfectly good place for it. I mean, it's just where you store the rest of your stuff. Vinegar's been around for hundreds of years. It has a very, very long shelf life. There's nothing else added or mixed into the product.
Yeah, that's my next question. I always want to know, I mean, does it expire? I mean, is there...
No, it doesn't expire.
You don't have a sell-by date on there that's 2 weeks from now?
No sell-by date. We'll have lot numbers on there saying, each one in case there was ever an issue. However, but no, it's good as long as you've got it.
Now, you spent a lot of time and effort, even in the labeling, is that all part of that EPA process? And
In order to have a product registered with the EPA and the herbicide, there's a lot of testing, there's a lot of formulations. Everything's, well, there's bureaucracy with that. Without diving in deep with the EPA, everything that's in the product has to be tested, proven, so forth, so on, in order to say what you can say and do what you can do.
right,
So that process it does take some time to do that. It's not a fun process, but the end result is, if you have a product that can kill or control and have it registered, you can say all that stuff on the label.
right. And you actually say it in both English and Spanish.
That's right. On our package, it's actually a 2-page peel back label. The entire thing on there, English and Spanish, and it goes into and Pat, with the registration on this product. Let me just read it to you. It's 20% vinegar, herbicide for the control of weeds, a horticultural vinegar biopesticide for non-selective control of herbaceous broadleaf weeds and weed grasses which surround food crops, non-food crops, non-production agriculture, farmstead, right-of-way, and institutional land sites.
Okay, all those are really big words.
Did we cover it all? Let me break it down for you.
Yeah, really.
It's a natural vinegar product. Okay, it's non-selective, meaning it will kill anything that it touches, broadleaf or grassy weeds. You can use it around food crops, which surround food crops, meaning
If
you
you're
can use it around
growing a garden of,
if you wanted to spot treat weeds in between your crop rows of your tomatoes and things in your garden,
you could do it.
not going to harm your food that you're growing.
But you got to be careful.
Right, you got to be. Well, you don't. Anything that it's going to touch, it'll burn what it touches. So
you
want
to
to spray at the base or use a hood on your sprayer when you're doing it. Non-food crops, meaning lawn and landscape, your residential home, in and around the turf, around your shrubs, farmstead. So now we're on the farm. Right of way, you drive down the highway. Anything when you've got municipalities looking for products that have to be certified they can be used in the right of way. And one of the big ones, Pat, institutional land sites.
Now, what's an institutional land site? Because what I hear is that you can use it just about everywhere.
Schools.
You got to be a little bit careful. Oh, schools. You mean like
Schools.
whether it be elementary on up, huh?
That's right. It is an organic acid, and it does have, we had to say you had a 48-hour reentry window. The product's not going to stay around that long. It will alter the pH slightly. Once the product is effectively dried on the plant, you're pretty much done. However, we have to say there's a 48-hour reentry period on that. But those are all the different areas where you can use a natural organic herbicide.
And what I hear, though, again, I don't mean to act like I don't have any clue what you're saying. I do, but I also, if you're listening to this and you're watching it, it's one of these things where sometimes it can skip past somebody. What I hear is that whether you run the maintenance of a school or an ISD or a college, whether it's a home or a farm, you can actually use this because, again, Mother Nature finally got its license to kill.
That's the bottom line is in order to use it in certain areas, it has to be registered in order to do that. So it met all those. It can be used for organic production. So if it can be used on, around, and in areas where you grow food, I mean, that part is huge. So
yeah.
In other words, you can't use some of the synthetic things that are available out there for all the uses that we just mentioned that you can do with
Well,
it.
I know that, isn't that because a lot of times that it'll stay in the soil longer, it'll actually get into the water table, it can really screw things up. And that's, I think, what a lot of people are trying to avoid in some of the be kind to Mother Nature stuff, because she can be a real terror. And then when you think about the different applications, and I know that one of the concerns is, hey, look, don't spray it near your pets, right? I mean, it can hurt certain things if it's
you don't want to make direct contact. On the container and the safety precautions is you must wear shoes and socks. and you must have goggles and gloves. Just it's an acid product. So you don't really want to have pets in the area when you are spraying it, as you want the product to dry. And when you take a whiff of vinegar in general, it'll open up your sinuses. So this is 20% vinegar, which is it's more than double the strength of when you talk about normal household vinegars that you can get at a grocery store, either 5% or a 10%. This is twice that. And just to mention, it is ready to use at that 20% acetic. If you add water, you will cut the acidity percentage in the product.
Right, so you can dilute it down a bunch. Now, what about the...
well, let's back up. You don't want to dilute it down a bunch. You want to use this only for herbicidal uses as it's registered for. I'm just going back into the strength of a household vinegar will be a 5 or 10%, depending on what it's labeled for cleaning or pickling. This is a 20%, which is
kind of an, I want to say industrial strength, but it's
really
a higher.
It's certainly a higher strength of where you go there. So.
Now you can get this on the organicgardeningshop.com website.
That's correct. That's right. That's where we're selling it right now. One of the biggest things is we're looking for greater distribution to actually move this above and beyond the state of Texas, where we have it registered right now. So we do have EPA registration, and we also have registration in the state of Texas. So we'd like to take this product and move it further. With the EPA registration, it's a simple registration with each state to add them on to that list. So
very nice, because you've already got it one place. It's kind of a...
Right. Once you have the EPA registration number, then it's a matter of getting the state-by-state registration. So as the product grows outside the Texas market, if you have viewers or other areas of the country that are saying, hey, we want this in our area, well, contact us, let us know, and if there's distributors or others that move the product, then we can get it turned on in those states. It doesn't take long at all.
Very cool. One of the things that I noticed about it, and in fact I noticed this about a lot of the products that Nature's Wisdom is fond of promoting and supplying to its customer base, is that it's affordable. I mean, this stuff isn't liquid gold. It's an herbicide, but it's not something that will break you.
Right, and that's trying to go along that whole line. And there's one other thing, Pat, we forgot to talk about or go into. When you're applying the vinegar, this other product we have here is orange oil. Orange oil by itself works. Orange oil with the vinegar works as an emulsifier, and when you kind of go into that, you can simply add 1 to 2 ounces of orange oil with a gallon of water, and what that does as an emulsifier, or if you will, a wetting agent, the oil will help it stick to the leaf of the plant and make it work.
Does that mean that you're actually using less of the vinegar because you're able to, with the emulsifier, once you spray a little bit on, there's not very much runoff. It sticks. Is that
correct.
What you're saying?
That's correct. Orange oil being an oil-based, it's going to help the vinegar actually stick to the undesirable plant to where it'll dry on there faster with less runoff into the soil and everything else. So like we talked about the morning dew, it's very little. So it's an add-on thing that will help make it go a little bit further when you're doing your application.
That's excellent. And you say that normally a gallon will cover 600 square feet. Is that like if you wanted to take out, if you had 600 square feet of weeds, it would take out about that much?
You could blanket that whole area, or you could just spot treat the weeds as you walk around.
Because I don't see, I mean, even in our yard, I think about when we have weeds, I mean, we'll have them sprout and intermittently, and if we leave them alone, well, then
and they get bigger.
They own the lawn.
Right. Well, the whole process is when you're going to do this type of application is, A, don't let the weeds get that big. If they do get that big, run the lawnmower over them first to knock them down, so you have less surface area, as well as now that you've cut them open to a degree, they've got open wounds, so when you apply the herbicide on top of that, you'll knock them down that much faster.
Now, doesn't that spread the seeds of the weeds when you do that?
Well, you want to mow before they go to seed.
Okay.
So if you can...
When is that, by the way?
Before they get the flowers blooming.
Okay, that's good, good.
The little dandelions have the yellow flower, then they have a little puffball on top.
Yeah.
If you get to the puffball...
Too late.
Too late.
Yeah. And I do understand that when it does get warmer, I mean, one of the numbers that you mentioned was like 85 degrees. gets above that, I mean, it will cook. It'll cook
Absolutely.
them.
The warmer it is, the faster it works, and you can literally, when it's like 80, 85 degrees and you spray that one dandelion and then you take a few steps over to go get that next one, you can kind of hear a little of that crackling going on. And when it's that warm and you go back in a couple hours, you'll see them turning brown and black, and then the next morning they're just toast. So the cooler it is, it does take longer to see that desired result, but you would see it in 24 hours.
The coolest thing about this to me is that you're actually using something that's not going to hurt your soil. I mean, I think of some of the other chemical products that have been used historically, and when you apply them, they will permanently terminate that piece of turf for a while, and this isn't doing that.
Well, you don't want to drench, you just want to spray the weed. So you're trying to, I mean, you don't want to, if you drench, you're going to get a lot of the acetic acid, which will lower the pH of the soil for that little portion of where it's at. But you don't want to sit there and drench it due to the fact that you will sterilize the microbes right there in that area. But it's if you're just spraying the weed as a spot treatment, not doing a drench, it's not really going to have much of a chance to get to the soil.
Should people purchase this in just a gallon at a time, or I guess obviously it depends on the thing. Do you have anything larger than a gallon?
We're working on doing a 2.5 gallon size, but the average homeowner, when you get into actually spot treating the weeds, 500 to 600 square feet, you got to go look at what is the average size lawn, and it's not full on weeds. It's 1-2 gallons will cover the average person. I mean,
well, I'm thinking about potentially, you talked about institutions and things of that nature. When you guys have plenty of this available,
absolutely.
You can sell it.
We can get it in. I mean, we can have it available in 55-gallon drums, 275-gallon totes. On the label, the application rate is between 15 and 30 gallons per acre if you're trying to knock down crop residues or things of that nature. So, 500 to 600 square feet is a generous on a spot treatment. It depends if they go a little too heavy. But on the application recommendations, it's 15 to 30 gallons to cover 1 acre.
Very good. They can purchase it on the organic gardening site.
Absolutely.
And it's organicgardeningshop.com.
Correct.
And it doesn't matter whether you spell it with that or hyphens. It actually will work.
They'll both get you there.
Yeah. And then as far as where you see this application expanding, what do you want to do moving forward with this?
Well, the biggest part of this, Pat, is this is a natural solution to knocking out a weed problem.
Yeah.
And it should be available everywhere, and it can be available everywhere. It's just getting the organic gardeners, if you will, there's certain segments and there's big hot pockets. So it's getting it into larger distribution and getting it more readily available to those consumers of where they're actually at and where they're actually looking for it. And that's kind of the next big goal is we're going to get it around Texas, no problem. Now, I'm only in Texas, so let's work on that next step of what state's next, what distributor could cover more areas, and how do we get it in the hands of those people to say, hey, you know what, look, we've got track records that show that vinegar can do this, this, and this, and it's a product that, as an organic herbicide, is EPA registered, and there are very far and few between of organic herbicides that are registered.
Since this will be on, it's in the DFW area on Channel 27, but then it also will go out on YouTube and some other places. If they're watching it out on YouTube and they want to get in touch with you because they're in another state, the Organic Gardening Shop has
Absolutely.
a way to access you?
There's a contact us form on there. Our phone numbers are on there. So either way, if they want to send us a quick email through the contact us and through our CRM software, we can respond back to them, or simply just pick up the phone. Monday through Friday, we answer and return phone calls or emails. So that's the biggest thing is if you want it, let us know where you're at. Let us know who we got to get it to in order to get it, and we'll make sure we get those states on board and registered so that we can get the product over there.
That is really excellent. We're coming in here in the last few minutes. What do you want to tell somebody that is looking at organic gardening? Because I see it as a tremendously growing field.
Absolutely. The biggest niche right now that's growing is raised bed gardens. Everybody's trying to grow and eat healthier, and we're better than to grow that produce in your own backyard. So when you start getting into what products do I have to use that won't harm my food or me or my children or my pets as we try to do our own garden, well, that's the product lines that we're growing and building and selling. Why not keep everybody safe? Why not grow that nutritional food? And why not stay in that segment of you don't need the chemicals when you have organic solutions?
You guys have been around for quite a while. I know we were talking that you'd started this arena in 2001, and so you've got over 12 years, 13, 14 years almost worth of investment in bringing the right, I'd say, tools and toys to help the organic gardener. You have lots of products available, correct?
Correct. We're growing our products, and this is the first EPA registration that we've gotten. We have a second one that we're about to come out with, and a third one in the works. So it's really, how do you stay where you can be and where you can get faster growth and have a product and everything on the label where you can say what you need to say with an organic safe product.
Very cool. OrganicGardeningshop.com. They can get the 20% vinegar solution. They can also get the orange oil if they want to add an emulsifier to make it stick. I know that Nature's Wisdom in this show is really one of those services that is trying to educate the organic gardener, is trying to give tools that are more nature friendly. I mean, let's face it, I think it's becoming a groundswell in America and around the world that we really do need to be conscious of what we put into our system, into our soil, to be more friendly to nature because, well, nature's wisdom is really there already, and we're just beginning to tap into it. This is Pat Dewar. Eric Hover's the host of Nature's Wisdom. We'll talk to you next time.